All right, guys. Welcome to Voiced Podcast. I'm going to be your host today, Charles. How are you doing today, Massimo?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great. So I'm glad to have you in here. Thanks for driving down all the way from Westlake.
Westlake, Thousand Oaks.
Westlake, Thousand Oaks, all the way here in Oxnard. So I found another agency owner, guys. One of my goals last year was to be more friends with marketers, agency owners, business owners is always easy, but like as far as like on the marketing side, it was always what would I say? Not easy to find somebody who can have the same language or at least in the same direction. So for anybody out there, and I'll let you introduce yourself as well. Massimo is an agency owner specializing in SEO, web design, and other stuff that I can't merely describe because he's way more professional than that. So I'm gonna actually have him talk a little about himself and what he does. Is that okay?
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
So as you had mentioned, I am owner of State of Exterior. We're located in Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village, and we focus on site optimization, Google Business Profile optimization, setup, hosting maintenance, optimization, anything that helps businesses online grow and maintain and gain more traffic.
Nice.
And just live online, we handle.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. How long have you been doing this agency for a while?
I would say about 7 to 8 years.
7 to 8 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Did you originally start with all of these services or did it gradually grow?
It started with content creation, like copyright, because content would be the basis for like SEO, search engine optimization. Yeah.
Interesting. We're gonna have some fun diving deep into that because for a lot of people, they know me as the content creator, and now content has adapted to when you think of content like videos and photos, right? But not many people understand that content also describes blogs and emails, right? And other forms of things that what can actually be put into that. So as far as that end, when you started creating content, which is interesting here in Voice Podcast, right? We're talking about how to get more businesses and people who are passionate about what they're doing to get more of themselves and their voices out there, and that's usually through a form of content, right?
Absolutely.
What got you started into creating more content for SEO?
Yeah, that's a good question. So originally I was asked to blog write or write pages for certain websites,
Right.
attorney websites, plastic surgeons, CPAs, and that content that I created alongside with other team members got what is called published and indexed in the search engines.
Interesting.
Yeah, Google search and Bing and all the other search engines that are out. And then after publishing that helps attract whoever's searching for that respective keywords that's laced into the content. And then what ends up happening is that, the user clicks on that website that they see for their original search intent. And because of the content that we created, it helped attract and bring them to the site. Yeah. So we'll start seeing, a certain amount of traffic come in based upon our output. Our output in this case would be starting with basic copyright. Publish, index to search. After it's indexed to search, it shows up in search results.
Right.
And then the person, whoever's looking for a specific service, types it in. And then the content that we created is shown in search. In this case, we want it to be shown on first page.
Okay.
Yeah. So they find the link that's on first page with the information that is matching up to their search intention. So in this case, like let's say we'll use I just got injured and I need to find a lawyer.
Okay.
That would be a query.
Now, before you dive in a little bit deeper, were you working for this company or like through an agency or?
It was another agency that needed copyright help.
Gotcha. But you were just working with them for a while as like a freelancer or?
Freelance, correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. Other agencies too. So in a digital marketing world, which we're in, there is a lot of freelance out there. So
For sure.
you do it for multiple agencies and you have an opportunity to always stay busy.
Right.
Yeah, it's not just one company.
Interesting.
So
if you put yourself out enough, right?
correct, if you position it correctly, and for anybody out there that's listening, if you want to, be your own entity and be just have your own business as a copywriter or a blog writer, you can do that, and then you can go sell your copyright services to multiple agencies and always stay busy.
That's pretty
cool. You can do that on Fiverr, on Upwork. You can do it through connections locally, and you could be known as the copywriter, blog writer, and make quite a bit of money.
Interesting.
Yeah, copyright is it's needed out, especially now.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Copywriting is an interesting
absolutely
direction as well, because a lot of content that we create requires a good amount of copy to structure and formalize that in order to get better views, impressions, for people to actually see more of your post. But I'm sure on your end as well, it's even more important because it relies heavily on the formatting in words and
absolutely, yeah. We have to follow a certain structure,
right,
according to Google guidelines, and it's very parallel to what you do. So whether it's text or video and audio, it's really the same thing. Creating what needs to be created to match the query, the search intention. One is proactive, one is reactive. Yeah.
Okay. So because the on your end, on the search aspect functionality, that's where people are looking for your content, as opposed to what I'm doing through my agency, creating content for them, is that we create it so that the algorithm can find people who will be, or who can match that.
You're
right?
doing it in 5D compared to content that's just 2D in text.
Okay.
Yeah.
5D.
Yeah. If you look at
interesting.
Video, audio, between the reels. So what you do has a lot of, actually right now, I think we talked about the other day with the trifecta, and what you do carries huge weight in the industry, has a lot of value.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for anybody listening, especially for our marketers or business owners who want to develop their brands online and really not even just live but thrive, thrive online, what's this trifecta that you mentioned? So if we can get a little more details about it.
It's just something that I kind of recognized through my own personal experience of doing this, is that if you look at it, what any business owner would need to stay relevant online. So let's use a flower shop, for example. I'm an owner of a flower shop and I want to stay busy. I want to make money. I want to stay relevant online. I need to do 3 things that create a triangle: Google ads or social media ads, right? And then organic. Organic would be considered constantly creating posts, landing pages, service pages, updating the website, updating the e-commerce on the website, all the products, blogs, absolutely,
so
all of it.
Anything that allows the internet to capture the words and frame or words,
correct,
right, of whatever it is that you're talking about.
Correct. And alongside with that, there's also now the aspect of Google Business Profile. We used to be called Google My Business, GMB. Is Google Business Profile. That's in the map section. So we want to take over the organic part for that. So we got ads and then organic. So if somebody searches for flower delivery Thousand Oaks, flower delivery Oxnard, they're seeing this company up in the ads,
right,
whether on mobile and desktop. They're also seeing it in the organic, which is under the map section, and they're also seeing in maps. So it's like, okay, they're all over the place for this specific query. Then let's head over to the third part of the triangle. Third part of the triangle is what you specialize in.
Video content creation, photos.
That's the 5D.
Social media.
In the trifecta, this is just what I call it. Look, in the industry that we're in, there is quite a bit of variables involved. So these 3 are just 3 out of the 255 plus.
For sure.
Right? But what you do, it carries a lot of weight in marketing. So video, audio, podcasts, now you're hitting home. And if you can capture all 3 and do it well, consistently, you're going to be a heavy hitter in your respective field. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for explain that. And then, one thing that, to be honest, meeting you, Massimo, first time, he reached out to me because he was interested in the podcast that I had created through previous guests, right? We linked up last year, and, we've stayed connected for the past year. And then this year we want to try and work on some things together. So I'm pretty excited for that.
It's going to be great.
Right. And I'm also learning a lot from him. He's connecting me with a lot of people. So if you're out in Conejo Valley or in Ventura County even, and you need someone to, work with as far as like your SEO or web functionality, just like what he just did, hosting, understanding that even better, he made it simplify, at least for me. So, however, right now, before I want to dive in a little bit more into details, I'm just curious, what do you feel like right now, right? It's 2023, digital marketing is always changing, right? What I'm just curious, from someone who just started about 2 years ago from his agency and only tapping into social media, what do you feel like that's changed majorly in the digital marketing world when you first started?
That's a good question. So when I first started, it was very heavy on content creation.
And they're talking about like blogs and
yeah.
emails
So
and newsletters, right?
Content would be the text that we read on the site. And a lot of it is just landing pages. It's just a page on a site. Flower shop is a keyword, is the service. Thousand Oaks is the geo. We call it geo. So flower shop, Thousand Oaks. If someone types that in, that's the query. I'm just kind of throwing out the terms. So it was just heavy on that. It was basic, making sure the website's fast. There's 255, 300 plus variables in just that itself. Making sure the hosting is good. So the hosting would be the land. The site would be the house. The house needs to sit on land. And then the URL, the address, is the address of the house. So that's just the basic stuff that we would make sure that it's maintained and optimized. And that's how it was for quite a while. And now we're going into speech, voice search, and then AI. How AI has been involved pretty heavily recently with ChatGPT, AnyWord, Jasper, so automated tech. Yeah, so you just type in like you would just type in a keyword, and then it would just spit out 1,500 words, and it would create a landing page for what you need, rather than you having to do the respective research in that. So how has it changed? It's changed for the better in many senses, where it's easier now for production to get what they need to do to help optimize the business. But we have to be careful. And I want to say something about AI is, look at what you're typing in. If someone's using ChatGPT or Jasper or AnyWord or any of these AI programs to create content, sometimes that content is duplicated. So what you need to do is have a human generated tool to double check the percentage of the human generated content. How do I put this in the words? You would need to double check if it's robot generated or human generated. It needs to be 100% human generated. Because if you start putting 90% or below on human generated and you publish it out on Google, they'll start seeing that it's not real. Yeah.
So how does that affect the search functionalities?
Absolutely. So Google's catching on that ChatGPT, AnyWord, Jasper, and all these other AI generators are creating content for pages.
Really?
Absolutely. And so what they're doing is they're changing their algorithm to ensure that that's not just the only basis. We want real, authentic content that means something for the person that's searching for what they need to search for, to get the right results.
Okay, that's interesting.
It can't just be absolutely.
Yeah, because I imagine so many more businesses creating websites, and then they realize, hey, if I just type in a few words about my business, that could be my about section or my product or a blog. So then, AI, from my experience and what I've heard from other people, it's just artificial intelligence accumulated from data that they pulled out from different sources that is accumulated. So essentially, if Google is able to track those, it's basically plagiarism.
There you go.
Right?
Yes, and that brings me to my second point. Then you have to have a plagiarism checker. So if I use AI, for example, if I use ChatGPT for a landing page, I'm an agency owner, and I'm speaking to other agency owners, the right thing to do is to use ChatGPT. That's fine. But what you also want to do is you want to have the second tab open with the human generated audit tool, third tab open with plagiarism checker, and ensure that the content that we're creating, that really should be done without ChatGPT because it should be authentic.
Right.
But if you're going to use it, then do it this way. Use those tools, make sure it's authentic, change some things out to have your voice or the voice of the business owner in there so it's not so robotic, and publish it out. That's the right thing to do because whoever's reading that wants to have an authentic experience, not just AI content that's regurgitated from previous posts, like you had said, and it brings in the old content that it just scrapes in and then spins it and then gives you that version of what it is. So it is plagiarism in a sense.
Yeah.
And now we're losing track of the authentic feel, the authentic look, or of the authentic experience of actually reading a blog that someone put their heart and soul into writing about that specific topic.
I think with the way I see AI is not to generate the actual content itself, because to be honest, like, that's just lazy. But so the way I see it, AI is it helps you generate what kind of ideas you should think about.
Yes.
Like, for example, if I put out, give me 15 lists of video ideas that I can use to talk about my flower shop, that would be a wise way to talk about your flower shop.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
That's how I would formulate it, because, like, for me, I see questions as just tools, because if I can get the right questions to think about the content that I want to create, then I can start thinking about what that means to me, right? Because it's personalized, right?
And then you fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
So you get your H2s, which are the subtopics. The H1, we call it in our world, the header one. H1 is the title of the respective page. Then the H2s would be the 15 question, the 15 answers. Yes. And then we fill in the paragraphs.
And this is what you do with your clients too, right? Kind of fill that out, fill the gaps.
Absolutely, yeah. I try to stay away from AI as much as possible when it comes to content creation. We'll use it sparingly, but the right thing to do is do our own due diligence and research and making sure that it's 100% human generated.
It's funny, we just me and my project assistant just generated list of questions to ask on new onboarded client to get a better sense of their business. So that allows us to also generate different types of content.
That's how it should be done. But what should not be done is typing in, write me out a page of X, let's say personal injury attorney Los Angeles. Write me out information on that, and then it spits it out, and then you publish that 25 seconds later.
Yeah.
That's not right.
I feel like what would be better is, what should I write in my website if I'm a attorney for this, right? You
are now thinking exactly the way it should be used.
It should be used that way, not to make things lazy. So anyways, I want to thank you for sharing a bunch of those information as well. So you confirmed a lot of my beliefs about AI. But I am curious. So I've heard from a couple of other people who do mess around with the, SEO, Google website development, right? That Google is slowly positioning itself to start to prioritize people with content. Is that true or true?
Prioritize people with
like they start to use the algorithm in a way to see who would be interested in that type of content.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you have rich content on the site and it's serving its purpose of delivering exactly what the person is looking for, the person being the searcher, then that is a huge variable in ranking. Okay. And what happens when you rank is, if you rank high enough for a certain amount of pages and keywords that have volume attached to it, historical volume on that specific keyword, then you're going to start getting traffic. That traffic will then turn into clicks, right? And then clicks will turn into conversions. Yeah. Call to action, and purchases. And that's what we want at the end of the day. And there's a low percentage that it starts from the content creation all the way to the publishing. Then the viewer goes and clicks on the site and then makes the purchase. You're not going to get 100% conversion, right? You get a certain
Right, for
percentage
sure,
on that.
a certain percentage.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
But you stand correct. So content is huge. And then there's other variables involved, but content is content, whether it's through Google business profile posts, there's content involved in that. There's content involved in social media posts.
Okay.
This is content, right? So
right, for
if this
sure.
is published on YouTube, for example, then you would take what I'm talking about, what you're talking about, and put it in the description. That then gets indexed in YouTube search and also Google.
That's
so there's
interesting.
content in that, and then you can pull in traffic that way as well.
That's interesting. Now, would you say that, like, for example, the only way it can really become a part of this search functionalities or through search engine is if it's linked to some form of a relationship with Google or whatever the search engine would be? Because, like, for example, right, this podcast is hosted by Anchor, which is bought by Spotify. However, through Anchor, it can distribute it also through Google Podcasts. Like,
I got it. I get what you're saying. So you're speaking on the terms of the association of using Google platform.
Yeah. I guess my bigger question is, how can we even tap into the search engine functionality? Because I know, like, certain things like Instagram, right, or I guess Instagram and Facebook is the only one I know that it doesn't, like, any words that you put out on that social media platform doesn't actually go out to Google. I mean, you could probably find their profile, but, like, what we talked about.
Yeah. In this case, depending on the specific platform, how does it show it in the search engines? How does it index?
Yeah.
It could.
Okay.
Depending on the topic. So if we were talking on the subject of best pizza in Oxnard, and you lace that content in the description, we're talking about it on video, it's being pushed out, that could be seen in search, in Google search, in the meta description. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. It depends on the specific platform.
Okay.
But you have the likes of Medium that gets shown, LinkedIn.
Interesting.
Yeah. It also gets shown in photos as well. So that's another avenue of being seen. So as long as that gets indexed in its own respective platform, now we can't expedite the indexing of that because we don't have access to its search console to index.
For sure. That's like more like the platform developers, right? And
correct.
Unless,
you have to have the
unless you're a hacker or something, right?
No, yeah. So it does. I've seen it show up.
Really?
And that's why it's important to use all the platforms, because it does show up in search for specific things that get talked about, specific topics.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not because you're using Google's product. It's more that you're using a product that ends up getting shown in search anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's try it out. Let's Google later Anchor, right? That gets shown in Google search, right?
Yeah, if I type in the podcast, it'll show up the podcasts or names in there, and it'll show up like links of different platforms that it's on.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was just curious. I think I just wanted to see if we can inform other business owners as well, especially, that are trying to put themselves out. Now, over the past few years working with many business owners, you also do like online and as well as local, right?
Absolutely. Local is pretty much the focus.
Yeah. What are some things that you would say that a lot of, or it doesn't have to be, it could just be one, mistakes that you see that business owners are doing, after realizing and then you help them out with it? Or maybe I'm sure you can help them out too, right?
That's a really good question. Well, what they're doing is the lack thereof is the action of what they should be doing.
For sure.
They should be focused, especially nowadays, businesses that are out there, even if it's a brick and mortar, should always have online presence. So whether they have an agency do it or somebody in-house or even a family member.
For sure.
Going back to what you were talking about with all those different platforms, whether it be podcasts, social media, there are a bunch of free tools to use. Utilize them. Instagram, Facebook, really, if you think about it, it's free.
For sure.
The process of publishing it could not be free, and that takes work, and that's where the cost goes behind it.
For sure.
To create the post, but at the end of the day, Facebook is not charging you to use it, so utilize it if you have it to your disposal.
100%.
Yeah, Gary Vee used to talk about that. It's there. Use it. It's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. The list goes on. So what these businesses are not doing is they're worrying about calls that are coming in, but how do those calls come in? Through search. Unless it's referral.
For sure.
So get on it.
Yeah.
Use the platforms and do it consistently.
Do you feel that like a good, like compared to when you worked before and now, do you feel that businesses there's still a lot of missed opportunities for businesses to get on, or is it like saturated? Or I mean, you could I'm pretty sure you could vary, right?
It's competition.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You could come in, and if you optimize the right way and you optimize consistently, optimize meaning publish and create and give the world and show the world exactly what your business is about, answer questions, be in the FAQs, be on social media, and you're doing that, pumping it out consistently as you should, then whoever was in front of you and in first place for that long, you're going to start getting there.
Yeah.
And getting to the top. And at the end of the day, we're all trying to get to the top to be seen. We as business owners be on the first page for all the different keywords and services that we provide.
Right.
How do we do that? We have to show, we have to produce, we have to pump out everything that we do, that we provide and we can answer and we can fulfill. We have to let the prospective customers know so they become consistent customers.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, a lot of businesses feel that they have to have everything figured out, right? But in reality, they just have to start with the things that they already know.
Exactly.
Because maybe someone is looking for that. And that's how I start with content. You know, like, hey, you guys don't have this, so let's start with these basic stuff about what people may already be asking you.
Let's use you as an example. I was on Instagram about a year and a half ago. I was scrolling through, and you actually showed up in Explore section.
Interesting.
Because you were connected with a Filipino restaurant that I really enjoyed following. And there was a connection there, so now the connection, it puts you in Explore and it pops
Because
up
I'm
in my
Filipino?
feed.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
All right, okay, yeah. I love Filipino food, but no, you were You were the only connection with this restaurant.
Interesting.
That's where it came down to, and I saw your page. I was like, this is good. I want to utilize these services, and I started. I connected with you. But had you not had done that, we wouldn't have connected.
That's interesting.
So, for all the other business owners out there, create something.
Yeah.
Put it out. Be consistent. Because there's people that are scrolling through that may want that specific product or service, and you're fulfilling their request.
Okay.
If you don't do that, they're not going to know about you.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the first step is really just to start.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, when over the past years working with a bunch of clients, if you don't mind, Massimo, what are the process that you do to help ensure a client success on your end? From, assuming that, whatever the more general service package that they acquire,
Yeah.
right? And assuming that they actually have the budget to work with you, so that, we can kind of see the process of how you can help other businesses out.
Yeah. I'll try to break it down simple is to really understand their needs and listen to them, understand exactly what they're wanting to accomplish.
Right.
All while recommending things for them that's in their best interest based upon statistics, based upon data, not feeling. Because what's important is, for example, let's say an attorney in San Fernando Valley wants to rank. Let's say he just graduated law school and opened up his own law firm. And he's like, okay, I'm ready to go. So we would sit down and look at his competitors and his specific service that he provides, personal injury.
Right.
So I would look at data for competitors and look at what the competitors are doing, build the site so we can start matching to that, right? make sure the site is fast, the hosting platform is good,
Okay.
customer service is on point,
Nice.
communication is open, and then build a package. Our packages are pretty straightforward, and we don't customize too much because we know what they need already, and so it's all based upon recommendation, and then we fill in their needs,
The holes, right?
the holes within the package. So there's a lot of data that we provide, and like this is like historical data on what these attorneys in your field and your area have been doing.
Wow.
Let's get to that point.
Wow.
Because you have to compete against them to be on the first page for the multiple services that they provide.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's making sure that going back to the process, making sure that we're constantly communicating with the client, that we're available, that we don't take 2-3 days to respond back to requests.
For sure.
That we're studying constantly on algorithm changes in the industry,
right,
to stay up to date, to better optimize them, and giving them that sense of feel that they actually have a team member rather than an agency that they're working with. They can consider us part of their team. So, making sure that also too, like midway through the month, 3/4 way through the month, while doing the production that we told them that we're going to do in the beginning, showing them exactly what we're doing along the way. We've done X, Y, and Z based upon your package. X,
right,
Y, and Z could be, we are going to pump out 25 Google Business Profile posts. We're going to optimize each one. They're going to look like this. They're going to have this description. And we project based upon the production that we do for this outcome to be. So this outcome could possibly be like, let's say, 2,000 visits a month. How do we know that? Well, your competitors have been we're following their previous formulas.
Right.
Competitors. Now, not all the time does it stick that way. There are, especially in the beginning, there's other factors involved like backlinks. That's a whole different topic. But we do need to follow a format based upon previous competition and how they've been doing it as well, right? For their specific keywords. We can't just walk in and guess. There's no guessing involved. Or we feel that this may work. We need to know what will work. There's two different things.
Right.
So it's a lot of research. It's a lot of analysis in the beginning. And it's not going to always work 100% all the time, but if we're following a specific formula and pattern with that,
right,
then it's much better than going down the route of guessing, which some agencies do. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I only know a few agencies, owners. I mean, I know of agencies, but not owners, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested. It's interesting to hear about how their other processes are.
I want to tell. There was a situation with one of my clients where he actually just came back to me. For privacy reasons, I can't disclose his company name, but he had went off to another agency. I believe it was just for budget reasons, and I respected that. But I still was giving him advice along the way. We're pretty tight,
right?
So my clients end up becoming my friends anyways.
For sure, yeah. Usually.
That's just how it is. So yeah, we're friendly. So he had said, "Hey, Massimo, my organic visits have been taking a hit pretty bad for the past 3 months, and I'm regretting leaving your services."
What percentage are we looking at?
35%.
Okay.
It was pretty bad. So what ended up happening is I was looking deep into what this new agency was doing, and they were doing what is called gray hat SEO. So they were using his site as a subdomain onto a mother site that they have as a link farm. It's not really the right thing to do. So
because they're the one that they're trying to accumulate the actual data.
So they were using
the visits, right?
Yeah, they were using his site to track visits to the mother site, and he wasn't really getting anything in return. What they should have done was put blog posts on the mother site if they wanted to do it this way organically and link back to his. My point is that he was asking them why they were doing that. They weren't able to respond. So going back to my original thing about communication is that you won't get that with us. If there's something that needs to be answered, we know ahead of time of what we're doing, and not take 2, 3, or even a week in his case to respond back. He's actually coming back on the 15th. And he's looking forward to it, as he's canceling with them. They were doing
Nice.
Yeah, their ethics were not in line with even Google guidelines. It's just that style of optimization was semi-popular in the late 2000s, and it kind of like drifted away. It wasn't really ethical at all, and I had formulated an email for him to send to them and try to answer, and they weren't able to, and they got back to him a week and a half later and gave him some, part of my French, some BS response. And it's just that it didn't fly with him. So
I'm in a venture right now, Massimo, of figuring out why certain agencies are disconnected with their clients and services. Because I've had a few clients as well that have worked with other agencies, and I'm not to say that mine is better. I think we all serve a different purpose, but when it comes down to more authenticity and realistic efforts, I feel like it makes. I've had experience with clients when they realize, okay, yeah, maybe we should have doubled down on yours instead of just having an extra. And mind you, these are services that they were already doing themselves, and they were getting about the same results. So what do you feel that makes you different from some of these disconnected agencies? I mean, I'm sure from the past few years you've seen other agencies, right? And then you've even worked with other agencies.
Yeah, that's a good question. Being proactive, telling them, meaning what you say and say what you mean, and doing what you're going to tell them that you're going to do.
Right.
Having it on paper, that paper being the package, for example. This is exactly what they're going to do. There's no surprises. Communicate everything. Not wait for them to email you on any issues. If you see a high bot crawl on a Wednesday of 100 visits, we know that is not real traffic. At 5 o'clock in the morning, for example, that is a bot crawl to.
What is a bot crawl?
Well, it's part of indexing the site in search.
Okay.
So then, if we don't tell them ahead of time, they may freak out. Email us or email whatever agency, and then it takes 2 or 3 days to respond back, and they're left in limbo. So really know your stuff. You got to know your stuff in this industry. You got to constantly study. At least spend an hour a day studying the industry that you're in, minimum. Yeah, and being proactive with the communication, letting them know exactly what's happening, so they know ahead of time. Just like if you're an employee at a place, right? So the disconnection happens with the lack of communication. And
transparency, even, right?
Transparency, knowledge.
I think that's the part too. It's like, if you don't know that you can't do it, then for me at least, I tell them straight out, I don't think I can do that. I mean, if you're open to letting me try, and see where it goes, then I'd be open to it.
Yeah.
Or I'll recommend him to somebody else.
I like that.
Yeah. So that for me has always saved my ass. And then I guess if certain words that we mentioned that we were gonna do isn't how it's falling out, then it's like it's time. I always try to communicate in different, try to establish new boundaries. Yeah. So
like that.
Interesting thing. But so now I'm curious as well, with your experience working with a bunch of businesses, and you don't have to give a name or exactly what you did, right? What has been like the best experience, and not even results, but like outcome that you've ever worked with? Are you able to tap back into a time where it was like the perfect, I wouldn't say the perfect relationship, right? Like the best experience working with a client?
The best experience working with a client is seeing them open new businesses and new storefronts. Yeah, and that's happened recently.
Nice.
Throughout COVID. So not only did we stomp on COVID in sales.
And these are all brick and mortar businesses? Okay.
Yeah. They open up.
Wow.
They open up like multiple, 2-3 new ones.
Wow.
And, sending me Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and being
That's super
thankful
cool.
and just, not expecting that. And, texting, these are real people with real families. And it's not just money. It's like some of these businesses want to leave something behind, a legacy for their children, and they're doing that. So this particular business now has one of his daughters taking care of the specific store. So it's the second one.
Wow.
He did not expect that at first, so it was nice to be a part of that. Now, it's not only on us, and it could be a very small percentage. I'll say that humbly.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is the customer service that they provide.
Sure.
But if he's utilizing my business to help his business in digital marketing, I have the responsibility to encourage him as well, and let him know, hey, you're doing great. I'm here along the way. Give him the encouragement to do what he needs to do, and because we're on the same team, and I think that helped out. They have great customer service, great product, great reviews, and this is what comes down to all the different variables. It's not just content creation. It's not just hosting. It's not just how fast your website is.
It's the actual business itself,
It's the
right?
business, because we can bring all this traffic in, and if they land to the site and they convert, well, in that act of converting, what's happening on the phone? What type of product are they providing? Is it quality? How's the follow up?
For sure.
It's just there's so many other variables, minute variables within the conversion part, that the business owner also needs to take responsibility for. So in his case, he took full responsibility in expanding and opening up the second and third.
For sure.
I'm not going to say, oh, it's me. I helped for a good portion of it, but also said, congratulations, because you could have taken the responsibility for failing as well. You're taking 100% responsibility on growing that part.
Nice.
And you are the man.
And essentially taking the risk.
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting too? Because like even for me as a service provider, one of the things that I find interesting working with businesses is the ones that operate with values that is really dedicated to their brand, right? Like you said, they'll have good customer service. Well, they'll treat the customers like family. They care about the product to make sure that they're actually refining it and getting better over time. And the people they work with, they're looking to work with someone long term.
They always do.
And on top of that, they are very particular about how they distinguish themselves from other competitors.
That's true.
Right? And then those are like the businesses for me that are fun to work with because they actually care. They're not just, oh yeah, we just want money. No. We want to make money of the things that we love doing and making people happy.
Yeah, I like that. It's not just about the money. I want to be a part of someone's journey as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Help them grow. And some of the clients that I currently have, I've been with for quite a while. And for them to break away and find a new servicer, it takes a lot of work. You have to establish new relationships with their account managers. You got to understand these new personality of this new company. Are they going to respond the same rate that we've been responding at? And
you have to go through this process of just...
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hiring a new employee. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
You know what? That's a great transition. I'm actually curious, Massimo. I mean, as far as what you've done, what do you feel is like the difference between having your own marketing agency having your own marketing department for a business versus hiring someone like us based on what we do?
Yeah. So that's a good question, because that's what we bring up in onboarding. Well, I would say in the sales process you're welcome to hire someone at X amount per year that one person has to do
50, 60, 7,000 a year, right? For sure.
Right? and that one person versus a team that can do all of these things at half the cost.
Maybe even less, half.
Right? A third, yeah. Yeah, it depends, yeah.
Really?
You know, a lot of corporations do have their own marketing departments, and we also do work with corporations that have marketing departments, that have a marketing manager,
Yes.
that have a e-com manager, director of marketing. And so that director of marketing then has a budget for that corporation to then hire a respective agency to work with. Agency can provide all said services and reports to that director of marketing. The director of marketing then gets their bonuses based upon what we do or the agency does, because we're the partners. We don't work directly with the CEO.
For sure.
Right, the CEO. I'm talking about like large agencies or large businesses, but we tend to focus really on the small to medium size in the Canal Valley area. Google Business Profile Optimization, and we like that we're helping these businesses get to the next level. And our main goal is to watch them, like I had mentioned earlier, is to watch a business that has one storefront now have multiple and get them to be the corporation in
Eventually,
the area.
right? Or getting that direction, right?
Our thing is not about it is about making money. We want the business to make money. We want their customers to be happy. We want their customers to get quality product because we have an association with that business. So when we put our name associated with them, we're a team. And so whatever services or products that their customers receive, we have an indirect impact on that as well. So we want to have a positive association with that. And we want them to grow.
Yeah.
And we want them to want us to grow as well. And at the end of the day, it's for us, it's for how can we get the Canal Valley, Ventura County area to flourish? And even though we're just one small entity, we can really have a large impact. You know, you drop a little rock and you see the ripple. We're kind of cheesy, but it's true.
Yeah.
That ripple kind of spreads, and we can have that large impact even though we're one small variable.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because I think, you know, I work with other clients as well that have their marketing departments as well, and you know, they would outsource. I just feel like it's a lot of work to have to learn and find talent, and then having to systemize that to get what you want, you know, because I've seen other large corporates work with service providers as well, and I think it's just growing. I mean, that's why you know, even the creator economy is just growing. They're creating a lot of user-generated content just because it's much faster just to create content or outsource the work anyways, you know, at least in my direction of my industry, you know.
Absolutely, good point. If a company that has a budget to have a marketing manager, perfect. Then also should have a budget to hire an outside agency that is a team member with them.
For sure.
And they work as a team.
You're
We're doing that right now. That marketing manager cannot do everything themselves.
100%.
They have to have support. So either hire a marketing manager and then hire employees under that marketing manager. And every employee has to have their own specific task where they can wear multiple hats. But you're spending more by doing that.
For sure.
Rather than out.
Well, because that onboarding, training,
it's a lot.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's like you're taking care of people's lives now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like for me right now, even training, you know, my new project assistant is gonna take me some time.
Absolutely.
You know, so like you have to train someone how to do what I do. It's
a lot. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing to see, you know, how other businesses, for me at least, that's one of the more interesting things we're doing as providing service as an agency, is seeing how other corporates or businesses operate and how they choose to work with certain organizations or other entity. Yeah. You know, so
that is interesting, and you know, we're going down the path now of a lot of what is called joint venture. So this is in a sense joint venture if we do have a ongoing working relationship. And I think that in the community that we live in, I think that's important. We give everybody the chance to showcase their talents, and we get to all connect with each other and help our community grow, the local community.
Yeah.
rather than just being, corporate,
Or trying to
take everything, multi-billion-dollar corporation.
You can't even take everything. There's just so much more. I feel like there's so much more opportunities I haven't even tapped in.
Yeah, there is so much. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as that end, we've talked a lot about a lot of things. Thank you for sharing some of your insights.
Yeah, thank you.
And here you thought you were gonna mess up. You're just crushing it on every single question over here. So, anyways, so we're gonna transition and pivot onto the closing end. So for you, Massimo, obviously you love what you do, right? In the next couple of months, maybe even years to be specific, maybe even 10 years. What do you see for yourself in your agency that you're going to be doing?
Good question. In the next 10 years, I just want to have the most positive impact on every individual that I come across and watch them grow. So, that's kind of, it's not too deep of an answer, but to me it's deep. Because if I'm able to replicate what I did with this past client, watching him open multiple storefronts, starting from really nothing or very, very little, and just replicating that and then having that impact our community.
Right.
And then knowing that I was a part of that, watching our community grow and leaving it for our children to continue. That's what I want.
Nice. I think that's something that I also resonate with as well, is when working with somebody, and that's why sometimes for me it's not all about the money. If someone doesn't have the budget to work with me right now, I'll recommend them to something even that they could work with, or even so, give them 2 cents that is doable for now, that hopes that one day. And that's why I create content too.
Yeah.
I create content not to generate leads. That all that happened organically, actually. I didn't even know I was doing that. But the reason why I started creating content in the first place was always to provide value. And I think that was more intentful for me in my end, and then now it's become to the point where, hey, I'm going to put out content not only because I want to help, but I help at one point maybe they'd be, or maybe they decide at some time that they want to work with me, or, and maybe they want to expand even more, and I can help them guide them to a direction.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, so then as far as like your agency, how do you see it growing, or do you have any plans for it that you want to do differently?
Yeah.
That you're able to share?
I'm always looking to connect and hire new talent that really cares, that wants to be part of something big, and that wants to work with someone that has a lot of fire inside. That's me.
Love it.
I look forward to tomorrow. I look forward to next month. Nice. I look forward to 2024. I'm already planning 2024.
Love that.
And there are there are things that we're gonna be a part of that is bigger than just the agency itself. It's about growing whoever comes on board, so they can open up their own agency, and then we can connect.
Right.
It's not about the business that we work with only. That's good.
Yes.
But also about who's on my team and how can they grow to a point where then they branch off, and then in the future we're business partners and we're taking over.
Love that.
Right? Worldwide. Not just Conejo Valley.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. And then for anybody tuning in, a lot of our audience, business owners, Ventura County, content creators, do you have anything else that you want to give out, or any last voice that you'd like to mention?
Just don't be shy when it comes to creating content. People do care about what you have to say.
Nice.
And don't worry about all the other narratives that may be in your head, because most of it is just BS. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. And then for anybody who wants to connect, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can Google State of Exterior, and or you can email me at massimo@exteriorstate.com. I answer my email. I'm always on it 7 days a week. I love what I do, and I reply pretty quickly, and we'll we'll make things happen. So,
Cool. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for hopping on Voice Podcast, Massimo.
Thank you, bro.
Looking forward to see what else you're going to create in the next couple of months and the things that we're working on together.
Yeah, we're
So.
looking forward to working with you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. All right. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next episode.